All right, ladies and gentlemen and photographers, we're going to do the basics of exposure part 2. We're going to learn how to do the 4x4 assignment. So to do that, let's take a look at a good example. Well, I don't know how good it is, but it's one that I have an example of. All right, so the 4x4 assignment looks very familiar. It looks like an assignment we've already done, but it has a slight twist on this one. You're going to take 4 pictures. Each picture this is a good example of literal framing. This is a good example of a close-up. This is a good example of the rule of thirds. So you're going to take 4 pictures. Each is a very good example of the rule. And in addition to that, you're going to change some of the settings on the camera. So for example, on this one, they took, oh, look, it's framed. They've got the framing around the subject, right? But they changed the ISO from 200 to 300 to 400. So by changing the settings on the camera, you got different pictures. Okay, on this one, this is a good close-up, and then they changed the light exposure from +3 to -3. On this one, it's a good example of the rule of thirds, and they changed the white balance from daylight to incandescent. On this one, it is an angle of view, and they changed the color effect from standard to vivid. So you're going to take 4 pictures. Each picture is a great example of one of the rules, and you're going to play around with the camera settings to see what that does. Okay, if that doesn't make sense, ask me in person, because that's as much as you get on this little video. All right. The next thing, how to use the little cameras. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make those changes. First of all, what I want to say is there's these big SLR cameras, and they do a really good job of changing these settings. We're just using a cheap point-and-shoot camera, and you can change them, and they do make a difference, but they're not as good at it as these. So basically, one of the reasons we're doing this, if you become a professional photographer, you're going to use one of these cameras, and it gives you kind of an idea of what they do. All right, so what you're going to do is you have your notes from the previous lessons here. We have their notes from part 1, where we learned about the basics of exposure. And in those notes, you're going to write down how to use these little cameras. And then you're going to bring up a little camera. You're going to show me how to change all these settings. And then I'm going to sign off on it, and then you can turn these notes in. Okay, so you're going to have to listen to what I'm telling you, learn, and then show me that you know how to do it. So, for example, you're going to have to show me how to zoom, how to use flash, how to get into playback mode, change the mode, and get into the menu. Okay, also, you're going to have to show me that to change the ISO, you can change the ISO. To change the shutter speed, I don't know which one. It doesn't tell you if the light exposure changes the shutter speed or the aperture, so one of those. And then how much light can be changed by adjusting the flash settings. Okay, now let's watch the little video. Oh, I lost it. No, here it is. It won't come. There it is. Okay, let's watch our little video.
All right, ladies and gentlemen and photographers, let's talk about how to use these little cameras. First of all, up here at the top, you have the power button, turn it on and off. Right there is the button for taking the picture. All right, so the next thing you're going to see is the little up at the top, we have the zoom in and zoom out. And then the next button down here is the flash. You can turn the flash off. You can turn it to auto, so it'll choose to do it whether it wants to or not. And then that's red eye. Anyway, off, on, auto. All right, so to change how the flash works. All right, the next thing that we have is the viewer. So if I click on this, like I can go to my next photo, go to my next photo, and go to my next photo. Okay, go to forward. I can go forward and back. All right. The next thing is the mode. Let's see. How do I get out of this? Next thing I do, I clicked on menu there to get me out of there. So the next thing I can do is I can click on the menu. Okay, and once I get to the menu, I can go to the left and to the right. Okay, so I can go through all the different menu settings. Don't care about that, don't care about that, don't care about that, don't care about that, don't care about that. Don't care about that too much. But here's what I do care about. So in here, this is where I change the ISO. So I can change the ISO, so I can go down. It's like I want to change it to 400. So crank up the ISO a little bit, and if I want it to, so the check is right now on auto. If I click on that, now the ISO, now I've changed my ISO to 400, so I've cranked it up. or I can say like, oh no, I want it to go back to 100. So you're going to go through and you're going to adjust the ISO on this thing and take some pictures. And you're also going to be polite when you're done. You're going to stick it back and you're going to press the menu button to put the check mark on auto. Okay. So we can do that. Let's go to oh, we already did that. So there's ISO. Now I can change the light exposure. That's one you're going to do. So you're going to go use these to go up and down. And you're going to say, oh, I'm going to change it to a little bit lighter now. Okay. So you're going to do that. And then let's see what else. You can change the image. Color effect is going to be one that's going to be interesting to play with. And the white balance is one that's going to be interesting to play with. And then when you're all done, how do you get out of this thing? Can't remember how to get out. Oh, let's see. Mode? No. Oh yeah, mode. So the mode button when you want to get out of the menu and get back into mode. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you what mode does. So mode, if you're here, mode will get you into that's video camera. So if you look at the top left corner, that's a video camera. And then this is play, where you can watch your stuff. And then now I'm back into camera mode. Okay, so that's what the mode does. All right, thanks guys.
Okay, so what's next? Well, let's take a look at this. So this shows the camera and some different things. So here's the light exposure, here's the ISO, the metering. Basically, it looks to see if it needs a flash or not. So you can just look in the very center of the picture to see if there's enough light all around, spot, color effects, white balance. So anyway, here's different things that you can do. Another one that might be interesting is the scenes. You can change it to auto scenery. So it basically adjusts the light exposure and the ISO and the timing and the aperture size for you. But this one does it just like automatic. This one says, oh, I'm doing nature. This one says I'm doing a person. This one says it's at night. Anyway, so it adjusts it depending on the situation. That might be interesting to play with all those. Okay, finish these notes. Have me sign it after you show me that you know how to adjust the little camera. And then do the 4x4. And then I'm not sure about the practice test. Ask me about that. Anyway, thanks, guys.